Uy, akala nyo hindi ko naitutuloy yung segment na to, ha? Well, everyone, welcome again to When Authors Made Bestsellers and Created CHISMIS as History. And this is your actual host, MelKat. And today's episode, we are going to talk about something that is so controversial, so mysterious, so mystical that I basically needed to create a whole episode all about it. But before that, a little bit of a story time, okay? So, I was actually scrolling on my mobile phone, minding my own business, trying to be a normal internet or citizen of the internet, when I encountered a particular post that I will not name who posted it. And in that post, they were actually discussing the so-called mysterious verse of Matthew. Okay, so I checked the comment section and found a whole lot of conspiracy theory about it. So, ako naman, si ate mo girl, got very, very curious. And basically, these are the questions that I asked myself. Wait lang, ano to? What's this? Is there a missing person case file? May Bible verse na biglang nag-abol? May healing recipe na nawawala? Does a Bible have an actual cookbook? Those are the actual questions that I actually did ask myself. So, what I did? I read the passage, and then I read it again, and then I sat there and said, what the fudge? Nakakaloka. And yes, you're right. I found something. Because people were focusing on the missing verse, but the lesson was not missing at all. It was standing there the whole time, looking at us like, hello, ako talaga yung point. I am the one they're talking about. Boom. Mind blown. Hi. So now, since I know people might ignore my findings if I just commented on that particular post or somewhere else, I decided, sige, I'm going to just create an episode 2 about it. So today we are going to discuss Matthew and the missing healing recipe. Now, before we actually conclude anything, okay, the verse that people usually talk about is actually Matthew 17:21. Okay, in some older Bible translation, like the King James Version, there is a verse that says this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. But in many modern Bible translations, Matthew 17:21 is missing from the main text, or it is actually placed in a footnote. So naturally, the internet did what the internet does best. It panicked. It created theories. Did a comment section war. Ask questions. Who removed this from the Bible? What are they hiding from us? The fasting recipe has been deleted. Oh my god. Alright. But before we wear our detective trench coat on and accuse everyone of a spiritual document tampering, let us slow down a little bit. Okay? Because this is where history enters the room holding a dusty manuscript and a cup of joe. The reason some Bibles do not include Matthew 17:21 in the main text is because many scholars say the verse is not found in some of the older manuscript witnesses of Matthew. Some scholars believe it might have entered Matthew later because it sounded very similar to a parallel story in Mark 9:29. So the CHISMIS became, why is the missing verse? Or what is the missing verse? But Ate Mo MelKat question is particularly different. My question is, why are we acting like the lesson is missing when Jesus already said the lesson before the so-called missing verse? Okay, jokes aside for a moment. This is where the story becomes heavier. This is not me attacking faith. This is me slowing down enough to read the whole scene. Because when you read Matthew 17, the story is already loud. Very, very loud. The story goes like this. A man brings his suffering son to Jesus. The disciple tried to help, but they could not. So the father brings the child to Jesus. And then Jesus responds with that very uncomfortable line. He responded not on a soft pastel Jesus, not inspirational mug Jesus, but this type of Jesus responded in a very tired teacher energy. He basically says, "O faithless and twisted generation, how long should I be with you? How long should I bear with you?" Let that sink in. In modern Ate MelKat translation, wala ba kayong accountability? Don't you have accountability? Punta kayo ng punta sa akin. You keep coming back to me. Pero kailan nyo i-a-apply yung tinuturo ko? When will you apply what I am teaching you within? Now, disclaimer ha, that is not the direct Bible translation. That is my own reflection on the emotional temperature of the actual scene. But the point is this. Jesus still heals the boy. So, that means the compassion is still there. But before affirmation. But before the healing, there is confrontation or confrontation itself. And that is what people often skip. They jump straight to what is the missing verse? But Jesus is already pointing at the missing maturity. The disciples ask, why couldn't we do it? And Jesus answered. They answered them with the issue of faith. So whether your Bible has Matthew 17:21 in the main text, in the footnote, or not in that spot at all, the story already carries the actual message. This was not just about a technique. This was not just about a healing formula. This was not just about saying, use prayer and fasting, then a miracle unlocks. No. No, no, no. The deeper issue is faith without growth becomes dependency. Spiritual authority without discipline becomes performance. Compassion without accountability itself becomes rescue addiction. At ayan ang masakit. That is the deepest wound. That is the most painful part of it all. Because sometimes people want miracles, but they do not want maturity. Sometimes people want deliverance, but they do not want discipline. Sometimes people want God to fix the situation, but they do not want to examine the pattern that keeps bringing them back to the same crisis all over again. And this is where the missing healing recipe becomes interesting. Because people were searching for the missing verse like it was a secret ingredient. Prayer and fasting. But Jesus was already addressing the condition of the people. Faith, responsibility, spiritual information, embodiment, accountability. Hindi lang siya, what do I do to get the result? Sometimes the deepest question is, who am I becoming while asking for the actual result? And that is why I find this controversy so fascinating. Because the CHISMIS become historical, people argue about the verse. But the scene itself was already confronting us. Maybe the missing accountability was. Maybe the missing maturity was. Maybe the missing discipline was. Maybe the missing self-reflection was. Because sometimes we keep asking, Lord, why is this not working? And maybe the most uncomfortable answer is because you keep asking for power without formation. Kaloka, diba? This is not me attacking faith. This is me respecting the text enough to say, do not chase the mysterious part. Read the whole scene. Because sometimes the footnote gets all the attention while the actual lesson is standing in the room wearing the neon sign. So the final thought the internet is asking, where did Matthew 17:21 go? But The passage is actually asking, where did your accountability go? The missing verse becomes the chismis, but the missing maturity was the history. And that, everyone, is how a Bible footnote becomes episode 2 of when authors made bestsellers and created CHISMIS as history. Again, this is MelKat. Read the footnotes. Read the context. And please, before we panic over what is missing, let us check what we are already ignoring. I will let that sink in. See you on the next episode. Goodbye.